What's up everybody, my name is Estics, and today I have a commander that deals damage to your opponents without even touching them. This is Arabella, Abandoned Doll, and she reads, whenever any Arabella, Abandoned Doll attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 2 or less. And today I have a build that allows you to attack freely and get this damage off, and to even deal 100 plus damage to your opponent at the end of the video. First, let's get into the important little fellows that are going to make up your deck. Starting with Mentor of the Meek. Mentor of the Meek is a card that gives you card draw for each card with power 2 or less that hits the battlefield. So anytime a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card as long as you pay 1 mana. That is very good because most of this deck is going to rely on creatures with power 2 or less. Next, I have Krenko, specifically the Krenko that attacks to make goblins. And the reason I have this Krenko is because your commander is going to be doing things by attacking. So if you don't have your commander out or something is holding your commander down, you can use Krenko instead and still get your abilities off. And later in the game, whenever you are able to get your commander back, you can allow all of those extra things to go back on your commander afterwards, which we'll get into later. First, I have Witty Roastmaster to deal pings to your opponent each time a creature enters the battlefield. And then I have Darien, King of Kelliger, which gives you tokens whenever you're dealt damage. So this actually gives you a way out of fighting your opponent, because if your opponent decides, I'm mad at you, I'm going to attack you, they are now fueling your commander. So whenever your commander attacks next, you get all that life back that they took, and you get to deal damage to them, and then you have tokens to deal that over and over. So each time they attack you, you now do that damage plus more and gain your life back. Next, I have Saragot, Master of Buckland, which gives you creatures when you drop a creature. So anytime you drop a creature with power 2 or less, you also get a Hobbit, which is another creature that is very small that will fuel your commander. But now, that's enough of the big guys. I will release a full deck build later on expressing what cards need to go where. But until then, let's get into the battle tech. So you may be thinking to yourself, how am I going to keep my creature from dying whenever they're attacking? Well, there's a plethora of ways actually. Starting with number 1, the Pryden Steel Flagship. Now the reason I use this is because it reads, whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield, which your commander is, create a 2/2 white human knight token with this creature gets +2/+2 as long as an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, which is pretty good. So now you can attack with your small creatures and get off a big attack. So now instead of just having small creatures to attack with, you have a big attacker with a vehicle, and it's only crew 2, so that's very good for small creatures. Plus, whenever your commander enters the battlefield, you're going to gain a 2/2 knight, which is very good because power is what your commander wants. Now, if playing with toys isn't exactly the way you want to do this deck, then I recommend using something like the Brute, which you can pay 3 mana and regenerate your target creature. This leans into the paranormal side of your commander, because whenever you attack and someone blocks your commander, if it would die, you can then pay 3 and regenerate it onto the battlefield, essentially removing it and still getting off your ability. You can use Raid Bombardment, which reads, whenever you attack with a creature with power 2 or less, it deals 1 damage to that target player it is attacking. So whenever you're attacking, you can basically double your attacking damage with this card, and you get to do damage with your commander, along with Luxodon Warhammer, which doubles your healing on your commander because it deals damage equal to the amount of creatures. And then when it does that, you get to heal along with the healing from your original commander ability, which doubles what you gain. Along with Hot Soup. Hot Soup is actually pretty good because you can attack with it, and then when you hit your opponent, creatures can't block it, and then if they were to do damage to it, you can use the Brute to regenerate your commander, which is very fun. Now there's a lot of toying around in this deck and like kind of the specifics. This is kind of like the micromanaging part of this deck, but we're gonna call it toying around because it's a little more fun and it fits the theme. Starting off with Mechanized Warfare. When Mechanized Warfare is on the battlefield, whenever an artifact or a red source deals damage, you do 1 additional damage, which is pretty good. Whenever you have Raid Bombardment or your commander out, you do an additional damage each time it triggers. And then I have Hexblade Wallbreaker, which not only gives you a 2/2 token, but also reads, whenever equipped creature attacks and it's the first combat phase of your turn, untap attacking creature. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. This can double up your ability to do your commander. So now you're doing double damage with your commander with just a kind of a cheap card, and it's really fun because you can untap all creatures you control. So whenever you attack, you untap all of your creatures and then you get to attack again. This is really good with Raid Bombardment because you could attack with like 5 goblins, untap them all, attack again with like 5 goblins, and that deals 10 damage. And if you have Mechanized Warfare, that's 20 damage. And plus the 5 damage coming from commander both times. That's 30 damage. That's really good with this deck. But this is a very small combo that you can do with this deck. It gets much larger. With Ace's Bat, This is a simple card, however you can equip it with 1 mana and it gives your commander first strike, which allows you to get rid of things before your commander takes any sort of damage. And then I have Kerr's Keep. Kerr's Keep gives you not only a mana, but it also gives you a token whenever you need it, which later in the game might be helpful. And then I have Ascend the Avius. So you can pay, like, let's say you have like 10 3-mana creatures in your graveyard. You pay 3 on top of the color commander that you need, and then you get to return all those creatures back onto the battlefield. Now this is not only good for just like raid bombardment and stuff like that and your commander, but this is also good for creatures that trigger for ETB. These are very good for cards like Genesis Chamber. Whenever a creature enters onto the battlefield, you get to create a 1/1 mirror token, which gives you more fuel for your commander. But also it's good for creatures like Toby, Beastie Befriender, because you get the additional token out as you summon him. So this is just very good for bodies even. So you get bodies out, and if you get stuff that gets other small tokens out, you get to do more damage with your commander. Very good. Now, before we get into a special combo that I want to talk about, let's talk about these 3 bonus cards first. Anim Pakel reads, whenever you attack with 1 or more non-gnome creatures, put a 1/1 counter on Anim Pakel and then create X 1/1 colorless gnome token creatures that are tapped and attacking, where X is the number of 1/1 creatures on Anim Pakel. Now this is really good because as you're attacking with your commander, Anim Pakel can be getting out more fuel for your commander. Now you can have the triggers happen on the flip, so you can do Anim Pakels first and then your commanders after, giving you extra value for this attack. Then I have City on Fire, which not only has Convoke, but also has whenever a source you control deals damage to a player, it deals triple that damage instead, which is very, very scary, especially with this commander. And then I have Delaney Streetwise Lookout, which gives you huge evasion for all your small creatures because they are unblockable and by creatures with 3 or more attack, but also it gives you an additional trigger from your commander. So if you have an additional trigger on your commander, that doubles it. So let's get into this really strong combo that I want to talk about. So let's say you have your commander, pretty good. You have 10 gnome tokens. Now 10 seems like a lot, but not really. As a Nim is ramping up, you can also do other things to get out other 1/1 tokens, so it's really not that hard to get 10 1/1s out. Let's say you attack with your commander, right? And you attack with all 10 of these tokens, and you have something like Furnace of Wrath on the battlefield. This will double the amount of damage you do to an opponent. So whenever you attack with your commander and you have Furnace of Wrath triggers after your commander doing 22 damage, and then you trigger City on Fire, which triples that damage, giving you 66 damage. And then you use Delaney Streetwise Lookout to additionally trigger your commander. Now this will do that whole sequence again, giving you 132 damage to each player on the field, essentially OTKing the entire table. And let's say you heal that damage too, just in case there's a healer commander on the battlefield and he has 200 health or something. So you could do it again and again, and that is really just a 3-card combo. Very expensive cards, but a 3-card combo that is going to be very scary if you can ever get all of it out. And it is very simple to pull off. Trust me, it is not that hard. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you like this commander. I really like this commander. I really like this build because this is a build that just came to me in a dream one day. I was actually just over there checking out my table the other day, and I saw the Brute laying there because I was going to use it for a different deck. And I was like, decided not to use it. And then when I saw this commander a couple days later, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, that's really good. Maybe I could merge the concept, and this is what I came up with. It's been a really cool set. I'm really going to buy this one and really going to put some time into really micromanaging all of that and making it a real demon. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again in the next one. Happy castings.